Hey everybody, Jeremy here. So today I'm going to be taking a look at this Disney Mirrorverse Buzz Lightyear figure made by McFarlane Toys. This Mirrorverse line of figures, they're available in stores right now, online and in person, and there's a bunch of different ones that you can choose from. So in addition to Buzz Lightyear, they also have Jack Sparrow, there's a Mickey, there's a Goofy, there's a Sully, and I also believe that there is a Belle. And it's based on this mobile game for Android and iOS that right now is not available in the United States, so I don't know what the game is like. But this Buzz Lightyear caught my attention, it caught my eye, which I think is going to be the case for a lot of different people. And it's made by McFarlane, so hey, you know it's going to be good more than likely. So let's just take a look. At the back, we see a silhouette of some more characters here. They're promoting Jack Sparrow, a couple of different versions of him. But yeah, I believe these figures kind of come in a 5-inch scale. It's got 22 points of articulation. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, Buzz Lightyear is really the one that I was really interested in. So now that I got him, the box is fairly heavy. Let's open him up. So here's Buzz right here. And before we get into him, let me show you what else he comes with. He comes with this little collectible card here, just like the DC Multiverse figures. And on the back, it shows some stats, some of Buzz's stats from the game, which, based on my knowledge of video games, looks like he's better at attack and probably accuracy. And his low stats are in defense, and he's a middle of the road when it comes to life. So yeah, it's just a little collectible card. I don't think you can scan it or anything like that to actually use within the game. But if you're into collecting cards, these figures come with one. Now, let's get into Buzz. So first thing I want to say is it just me, or is Buzz more likable when he has the dome on top of his head? Because it seemed like in Toy Story, as the movies went on, he used the dome less and less. And like after he realized that he could breathe the air, he just didn't use it as much. But I'm always partial to a Buzz Lightyear with the dome. Would have been cool if it came with this figure and it were removable, but he might not even have it in the game itself, so I'm not going to hold that against them. It's just something that I like with my Buzz Lightyears. Anyway, so I feel like this figure it's all right. It's all right. It's $19.99. It's not going to break the bank. It's the sweet spot for most toys these days. But there's definitely some gripes that I have with it. So let's see what those gripes are. Fit and finish is not the best in the world. I feel like it could be better. It's mostly noticeable inside of his, well, the helmet dome would be. It's just a little scruffy, you know? We got some paint running along in places where it shouldn't be. It's a little bit rough, like literally rough around the edges. It's definitely not the best work that we've seen from McFarlane Toys. It's not a deal breaker, you know, but I just wish it was a little better. You know, I wish it were cleaner, because I know that they're more than capable of doing that. You know, I just have like this Spawn figure sitting right next to me, and then when you look at the line work on this Spawn and all the other little tiny details, everything is just executed with really good precision. But when it comes to Buzz, it was kind of like, you know, it's kind of, we got to get these things out. It's not going to be perfect, but it's not going to be a horrible embarrassment. It's just going to, you know, be passable. So that's what I feel like they kind of went for here. It's passable, but it's definitely not the best. But when you don't look down into this portion and instead just kind of focus on the things that you can actually see dead on, then that's when it starts to look pretty good. You know, the paint on the front, really got no complaints about it. It looks very nice. It's clean. Colors are good. The graphics are done very nice. They're not scratched off. They're not, you know, kind of clipping on the edges. You know, that kind of stuff that just kind of lends itself to a lower quality product. I'm not really seeing that on this guy. He looks pretty good from that front angle. Turning him around on the back, again, it's pretty simple, pretty plain, but pretty simple and plain works. We're going to get into these wings. There's no action features, so the wings, they can't fold down or fly up or anything like that. It ain't Turbo Man we're talking about here. It's Buzz Lightyear. But, you know, like I said, it's 20 bucks and it works. Another thing that you get with him is the stand. This one doesn't have a Disney Mirrorverse logo on it, so that's something that Might bother you, maybe it doesn't bother you, but it is what it is. Let's go over a little bit of articulation on this guy. Let's straighten him up. Now, the good thing about Buzz is his feet are nice and wide. So the stand is a good touch, but you really don't need it because his feet are so wide, he doesn't have any problem standing up on his own. But let's do that articulation. So let's move his arm out the way. We can move his legs apart about that much. Not quite for a split, but you can still do it. He's got some toe articulation as well, so I do like that. So it's got that hinge right there on his toe that you can move up and down. We also got ourselves what accounts to be like a double jointed knee for Buzz Lightyear. All right, so that's totally awesome. Double jointed knee there. And you get some rotation right there on his leg as well. Let's move up to the arms. 360 degrees of motion when you don't have the wings attached, but of course the wings are attached, so it's going to be blocked. We can move the arms out like this. We have what amounts to a single jointed elbow right there, and we have some rotation there on his arm. And then you can also you see how it's kind of going like this. You got that action going on. Of course, it's going to be the same thing on that side. The head was a little bit stiff, but he still does move right and left, or left and right as I just did. And it can go up that far, and he can look down that far. So not a whole lot of head articulation that's going to make much of a difference, but it is there. So I think that is good articulation for this Buzz Lightyear. I was actually pretty surprised with the toe hinge and the double jointed knee. I did not see that coming. Now let's look at the accessory on the back, his wings and the backpack that he has. So the backpack is pretty much just plug and play and connect or whatever. It wasn't the smoothest experience, I got to tell you. And it was because along the sides here, these are, it kind of starts right there where you see like that little crease right there. And you have to line it up perfectly so that all four sides right here, and then on the bottom, right here and over here at the bottom, all line up perfectly. And it wasn't hard, but it didn't go in as easily as I would have liked for it to. You kind of had to bend a little bit, bend the plastic a little bit so that everything could just line up perfectly. I feel like they could have done a better job with that. It was a little more irritating than I would have liked for it to be. But once everything is in, it's in. The wings, you can really only put in one way in order to keep the wings straight like this. There's a little notch that you can just slot the wings down into and push them in. They are in there pretty good. So I do like that. I would have liked if the wings were a little bit articulatable, maybe move them up, maybe move them down, something like that. But you can't do that. You just have to keep it the way that it is. And also, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but torso articulation, yeah, you do get that. So you can bend them up, kind of like that far, and you can bend him down about that far. So yeah, so it's a good range. It's a good range of motion on this here Buzz Lightyear. And he was definitely the standout figure for me because, of course, I'm a big Toy Story fan, grew up looking at Toy Story, and I don't have a Buzz Lightyear action figure. So I'm like, yeah, let me check this out. So I think for $19.99, it's a good price for this guy. It's not the best McFarlane Toys figure that, we've ever gotten, but it's serviceable and it does the job. And I also like how the price points for these figures are not all $19.99. You get into the smaller ones that don't have as much plastic with them, then the price lowers. So it makes it a lot more approachable if you want to get more than one, or if you want to get the whole set and you want to pose them up next to each other. I do think that having more figures from this line and having a place to display them and then just kind of posing them around each other, just do like a really simple pose, I think that can make for a pretty cool look on a display. But it's still one of those things where room is always limited, and do you have space for a collection of figures from a game that you most likely won't play. And if you do play, you really wouldn't be too much into it. So you're like, hey, here's a Buzz Lightyear, here's a Jack Sparrow, here's a Mickey, here's a Goofy. And then you kind of start getting into that realm where, remember Disney Infinity and like Skylanders and, you know, all these crossovers that were happening. Remember those figures? You know, I kind of feel like this is kind of going in that direction, except these are like actual action figures and not just statues that scan into games. So to me, it's really just a space contender. Do you have enough room? Do you want to sacrifice the room that you do have for figures like this, or do you want to have it reserved for maybe something that you're a little bit more into? DC stuff, NECA stuff, something like that. Or maybe if space is not an issue for you, then whatever. But I do think that Buzz is it's a good figure. It's not great. You can live without it. But if you don't have a Buzz and you want a Buzz, you can get a Buzz by buying Buzz. And I got this from Target, $19.99. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, I'm Jeremy. Talk to you later.